following 4 Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hello, y'all, people. I am K Double. That there is Alpha, and we're here to bring you the Cheap Pop Podcast. Now, listen, y'all. This is gonna be a pretty deep episode.
Our boy here, boy was witness to a masterpiece.
Yes. I finally. No, sorry, I couldn't help it. Like, whenever I say that word, that's how I know I'm a wrestling fan, is whenever I say that word, the first thought that comes to my head is to throw my nose up in the air and finally.
Gotta puff out your chest and throw your head back.
But yes, I took myself to the movies this afternoon and went and witnessed what I would consider to be easily the best movie of 2019 so far, and one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, I can't give it the top spot because there's a lot of good ones that I've seen, but this is definitely in that top tier of movies, and that is Joker. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and Alpha over there gave his review of it. Once again, I'm gonna state just like he stated last time. If you have not seen the movie, you might want to skip forward about 10-15 minutes because we're about to go in depth. It was, is, and always will be an amazing movie. And let me state this before we dig into the details of the movie, that if you have not seen the movie, whether you see it on bootleg, whether you buy it when it comes out on DVD, or you go see it in the theater, see this movie at least once in your life. At least once. I can't express how important it is to do that. And the reason why I say that is because it's a statement. It's a statement with entertainment. And it's a very poignant statement to today's society. And not in the way people think. People thought this movie was going to be, and this is just so you guys get a heads up, this is kind of where my my line of questioning for Alpha when he did his review came from. Is there's been a lot of talk, and I've seen a lot of people talk about how this movie will inspire incels to go and commit mass murder and make it okay because they'll think that it's, if they get beat up on or have a bad day or get bullied, they can go out and do that. And I just didn't see any of those messages in this movie. I didn't. What I did see, and what me and Alpha kind of came to an agreement on off air, was I saw a very, very loud statement about the mental health system in our country and how we treat the mentally ill. And it spoke in loads and volumes. And I'm not talking about, make you feel sorry for them. It made you kind of see the world like from their angle, like from how mean and cruel and rude some people can be to people with mental illnesses. And that's really where it touched me. And I'll tell you a specific scene where it hit my heart. And you can go ahead and pick up from here, Alpha, and tell me kind of your take on the scene. But the scene when he's in his psychiatrist's office, it's like the second or third session that he's in there, and he's finally like opening up to her. He's finally like talking to her. You know what I'm talking about, the "you don't listen to me" scene?
Yes, the all I have are bad thoughts.
Right. And he's finally opening up on her, and she just kind of cuts him off, and she's like, "Look, we lost funding. This is going to be your last session. Like, you can't come back here anymore." Just like that, just cold and cold as ice, right like that. He promptly responds, of course, as any normal person, as any person would respond. He responds asking like, hey, like, is there someplace else I can go? Are you recommending me to a different place? Like what's going on? Like how can I keep this going? And she's like, nah, sorry. And he's like, what about my medications? And she's like, sorry, can't do that no more either. And my heart just literally dropped into my stomach. Because I'm lucky enough to live my life without any type of severe mental illness or anything like that. So I don't know what it would be like to be sitting there and be told, sorry, government cut us off. You ain't got no more help. Our bad. See you later. And have nowhere to go. I honestly don't know how I would mentally deal with that. But that's effectively what they fucking do to him.
This movie does a very, very good job of being coldly placed square in reality.
Yeah.
And above all else, that is my biggest takeaway, and that this movie is as real as it gets.
Mm-hmm. Raw.
Because you look at that scene, and that's like, more often than not, for a writer, that's called writing yourself into a corner.
Yeah. That
is the exact opposite of what you want to do. And by doing exactly that, instead, they showed that that's essentially, in very many cases, that's real. That's what happened. That's how it is. And that movie, I mean, well, of course, all movie, but the specific scene didn't hit me in the way that it was like, I really feel bad for him. It was like, I felt that. It was very real, very, very tangible. It was something that I looked at, and it wasn't like, this is possible. It was like, no, this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not to me, but no doubt it has happened.
There are a million stories out there exactly like that. I have a friend that she was going to therapy and literally just came into her therapist one day and they were like, yeah, we're shutting down next week. Sorry. But I'll say in her case, she was a little bit better off because at least they were able to, she was able to find another place to be able to continue her therapy through her therapist at the initial place. But it's just, wow. Like, it leaves you just going, like, really? This is what we do to people? Like, it makes me, to be honest with you, it makes me wonder why we don't have more crazy people killing people out there.
Not to rationalize it, but, like, exactly, it's like, you look at that and not to rationalize the idea, but it's like, how can someone physically and mentally take that kind of treatment?
Yep.
That sort of dead-end road of, like, you have to deal with this now.
Now, another angle of it now, just what I want people to understand is no. In no way does the movie say that, like, oh, he gets his meds cut off and, woo, he goes crazy and starts killing people. No. That's not even close. Like, there are sequences of events that lead to the killings that he does commit throughout the movie that I don't want to say justify, but make you understand that that a lot of these weren't senseless, random killings. It's not like he just snaps and grabs some random dude off the street and kills him. No, the people that he kills, he has reasons for killing them. Like, we can go down the list. Like, I was just talking to Alpha. I'm like, I give him a bye for the first 3 dudes that he kills, because the first 3 dudes that he kills were jumping him in a subway in the middle of the night, and he drew a gun to defend himself against the 3-on-1 attack. I'm not a big proponent of guns, but I understood. It's not like dude just randomly picked these 3 business dudes and said, you know what, fuck the rich, bam, bam, bam. Nah.
Yeah.
These
and
dudes
not
were drunk.
only that, but in that scene, how long did it take him to pull out the gun?
Yeah. Like, he was getting beat down before he did.
There was clear reluctance.
Yep. And so like,
and just to make it clear, much like you did myself, like I'm not saying like I'm being discriminated against or something like that, but you brought the fact that I am the target of what people are saying. They're saying, young white men, much like myself, are going to see this, look at it, and be like, oh, I'm going to do this too.
Yeah. Or I can
You say
do that.
this.
Yeah.
You say this as a grown-ass African-American man who has children.
Yeah.
You aren't some incel or egomaniac defending a movie that might be rationalizing your actions.
No.
You are at the complete opposite spectrum of where all of this is targeted against.
And I tell people, like I just made the recommendation to my landlord when telling him about the movie, that look, when you walk into the movie, you can't be walking into this movie looking at it as, oh my God, this is the Joker's origin story. No. See this as an individual movie. You're just going to watch this story be told to you about this dude. And I think if you go in with that type of mindset, all that other shit just kind of washes away. And you can see the movie for exactly what it is. And the messages that are in the movie scream to you. Because really, like when you people go see this movie, the messages in this movie are jumping off the screen at you. If you miss them, it's because you're looking the other way. It's very loud and clear what's being said. All right. So at the end of the day, he kills those 3 dudes. That's kind of like the beginning of his descent. And I believe that, yeah, he ended up killing those 3 dudes right after when he got cut off. It was when he was riding the train home after he got cut off. But he kills the 3 dudes that were jumping him, handles that business, heads home. Then you got to understand, like, in a period of a few days, this dude's entire life gets fucking turned upside down. Everything that he knew about himself gets flipped on its fucking head in a matter of about 3 days. I don't know many human beings in general that could handle their entire life being flipped like that many times in 3 days, without wanting to check themselves into John George or whatever. So in the process of all this, and I'll even admit it, just like me, this was one of the hardest scenes to watch in the movie. He kind of goes crazy and ends up offing his mother. Well, she's not his mother. She's his adopted mother. But he doesn't know this. And then she lies to him and tells him that he's Thomas Wayne's son. And then he goes and confronts Thomas Wayne and yeah, gets punched in the face.
Basically makes a complete fool out of himself based off that assessment.
Yeah, based off his... And then finds out that his mother actually is crazy and, like, made up a lot of shit. And fucking, yeah. So, it's just one of those type of situations where all that shit happens and that leads to him killing his mother. Now, in a very pertinent scene to the entire flow of the movie, he goes in, his homeboys come over after his mom dies, the homeboys that were at the clown place with him. And yeah, you want to tell them about that scene?
Oh my fucking God. All right, look, I say this as somebody who is like, I'm not gonna say like I'm a hard dude, but I'm pretty desensitized to gore and violence and physical abuse and things like that. That's something that I'm pretty confident that I'm handling.
For sure.
I cringed, like I sunk in my seat like a child when he fucking straight through the eyes.
Yup.
In that scene, 2 of his old clown buddies come in, and recognizing the fact that essentially one of his friends had set him up for this, because he basically planted the gun on him in all sense. He planted the gun on him and essentially made him lose his job for bringing the sense of madness. At that point, Joker is long gone.
Yeah.
Because, of course, that's after he offs his own mother via suffocation. He takes the pair of scissors that he had on him at the time, shoves it straight through the guy's cornea, and does not stop.
Yeah. Gets it and then takes it out of his
And-
cornea and puts it into his eye. I was just like, wow. Talk about your overkill.
This isn't like, it doesn't take the camera off it for a single second. It is full on, straight ahead. You get to see it all the way through.
Yep.
And of course, you get your comic relief in the form of poor little midget can't reach the lock. He's hopping. He can't reach it. Yeah, he has to go in the market for him, and to cap it all off, he leans down and kisses him on the forehead. He's like, you were always good to me. And you see little midget waddle his happy ass out of there.
Yep.
Which of course is fucking hilarious. But at the end of the day, it's like, dude's body is right there with fucking scissors still halfway shoved into his fucking frontal lobe. Blood's everywhere. There's a midget running his ass home. And overall, it's a very memorable scene.
Yeah. Well,
I'd say it's easily like top 3 most memorable.
Yes. Well, I call it a pertinent scene because there's a pertinence to it, and it's in a specific line that he says. After he's killed the guy, he then proceeds to tell the small dude, like, "Hey, come on, you can go, you can leave." Tells him you can go, and the small dude goes to the door and goes to try to open it, but the lock part is up too high, and he's like, "Fuck!" He kind of turns around. He's like, "Dude, can you get the door for me?" Like, he kind of scared, like if he asks, like, dude gonna fly off the handle again and kill him. But he's just like, "Yeah, can you get the door?" Here's what I talk about the pertinent part, and here was the line. He opens the door, and I forget the dude's name. But he calls him by his name, and he looks at him, he goes, "You were always the one that was nice to me." And he kisses him on the forehead, opens the door, and lets him run out. And I think it was like one of those pertinent moments where it showed that, like, dude wasn't, like, just doing this because he was crazy. Like, there were just, like, it's that depth to the Joker character where, like, dude's crazy, yeah, but there's a method to his madness, even in his craziness.
He's not like going berserk. It's calculated. It's
right.
Cold.
And so, like, I thought that was a very poignant scene because, like, it was like he could have just killed them both. Like, dude, you just witnessed me kill somebody. Like, I can't let you go. Like, I gotta do you because, like, you just saw me kill somebody. He like, can't have that.
You're a loose end, chief.
But he didn't. That wasn't his thought process. He killed the other dude because he felt it out of necessity. He felt he needed to do that out of necessity. So, I always say, you got to look for those little moments. Or, here's something you'll appreciate. Or as Cyclops says, or not Cyclops, what's his name? Damn it. From X-Men. Colossus. As Colossus said, you only get 4 or 5 moments in life where you must make a decision. And that was one of those moments that showed that despite the fact that he went crazy, there was still humanity left in him.
Yeah,
just like
it's a very human take on it.
Yes. And another, fast forwarding a little bit to another moment that's like that. His initial plan going into doing the show, Kenny was his name?
The Murray Show.
Yeah, the Murray.
Right.
The Murray Show. Was he was going to kill himself live on air. You know what I'm saying? He didn't make the choice and switch to decide to kill him until they started mocking him. And so it's one of those scenes where, to me, it was pertinent. He had no intention of harming anybody. He had no intention of harming anybody but himself. Until he realized that he wasn't there because he was popular. He was there to be mocked.
You're right. Like, it takes a very different take on it, especially when you look at how people have been presenting it.
Right.
There's a lot of different points in the movie where you could pick out. Like, there was very, very valid, but easily to be pointed out reasoning behind what he's doing.
Right.
You can see the thought process. You can see the way things are worked out. It isn't just a man fucking grabbing a gun and going on a killing spree.
Right.
It is very, very calculated.
And that's the go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and that's the key point to it, is that the Joker was always calculated. You know, the character himself has always been calculated in every iteration. No matter how crazy he's talked, no matter how crazy he's been, he's always calculated. He's known what he's doing. You know, he's known.
And I realized something though.
What's that?
And I think that's what set aside Jared Leto's version of the Joker.
He was crazy for the sake of
because you look
crazy.
at it. Exactly, you look at it, and there's that hierarchy of why villains are villains.
Right.
And at the lowest possible tier, there's he's evil just to be evil.
Yes.
And that's basically what Jared Leto was when you set alongside Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, everybody, the great set of held that role. And of course, I'm not blaming Jared Leto for it. You know, you have to work with what you're written with. For the most part, that is completely on the head of the writers, not on Jared Leto and his acting ability.
And also, let's not act like there haven't been instances in the history of the Joker character in the comic books in which there were certain things he did just for the sake of doing. You see what I'm saying? Like there was that side of Joker. Like, his calculated as he is, there was that side of him. It just wasn't him. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't the core character. The core character was calculated. But there were some times in which, he did shit just for the sake of being evil and just doing shit. But once again, even with that, there was vindictiveness to it. There was a calculation to it of he was trying to get to or get in somebody's head. So I can understand what you're saying. With there's the completeness to it, of the calculation. All right, yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like as a whole, going back on what I said before, it's I'm not some cinema genius. I'm not some connoisseur of all things movies. I just like to think that having seen as many movies as I have some form of semblance of how to pick apart a movie and find things that are good and bad and things like that. I don't use the term masterpiece often, but that's what comes to mind for me for the collective of the movie.
Amen, brother. Amen. Like, and that's I tell people consistently that I don't like to consistently say that any movie is the best I've ever seen, but I will never forget this. But then again, though, the best I've ever seen, a lot of the movies, if I was to give you off the top of my head, literally like the top 5 movies that I've watched, that when I watched them for the first time like I did tonight, it was just like, wow. Clerks, just very well done. The first time I ever watched it.
Man.
I would have,
but that, in my opinion, that's one of the best written movies in terms of a script.
Oh yeah, amen to that. Like Kevin Smith proved that Dogma. If to continue on the Kevin Smith train, like Dogma was one of those movies that blew my mind the first time I saw it, just because it's a different way of thinking. I'll say, what else was it? Oh, and there's a story he tells in An Evening with Kevin Smith where he talks about actually protesting outside of one of the theaters that Dogma does, where they were playing Dogma. There were some Christians, because there was a lot of backlash to the Dogma movie, because he talks about there's God in the movie. Have you ever seen Dogma?
Yes, of course. It's very biblical in the way that it names its things and it caricatures things that are in the Bible and things like that. So
it
was taken as some sort of joke against the Bible. But
right. But so he had people that were protesting. So literally he goes out with signs, anti-dogma signs, and stands out in front of this theater with these people just to see if anybody would recognize him. And he tells a story about how he actually got interviewed on the evening news about why Dogma was a bad movie, etc. And he's holding an anti-dogma sign, and he's the director of Dogma, and nobody seems to know this.
Base God Kevin Smith, y'all.
Yeah. So, but anyway, but another movie. These are movies. There's a movie called Go that came out in the early 2000s. That was one of my favorite movies, and really was one of two movies. Which the other one is another one that the first time I saw it, like it really got to me. It's a movie called Groove, and they're both on a similar point of they're about rave culture and mind blowing movies. Very underrated. Like not many people saw them when they were in the theater. Not many people bought them when they were on DVD. But they're classic movies that if you've ever been to any type of party similar to a rave, you can get these movies. And I always suggest Groove for any new school partiers because it shows exactly how much you had to want to get to the party back then. It wasn't like it is today. Like they weren't all commercialized and they advertise them on the radio and all that shit. No, you had to go to a website to find out about a number that they wouldn't post till like 2 hours before the thing started. And you would have to get the number, then call the number, and the dude would give you an address of where to go meet the dude to buy the tickets. And the dude, when you bought the tickets, would hand you a map to show you where the actual party was at.
I had to work for it.
So understand, you had to want to go to a party back then. Because if you didn't want to put in all that work, you ain't going to the party. That was just part of the deal. So anyway, I digress. But those two movies were two movies that blew me. Like just wow, like blew me up. I was just like wow. And ironically, this is going to be the random like off movie, Judge Dredd, the original one with Sly Stallone. I don't know why. It blew my mind. That and Demolition Man. So, if you haven't seen either one of those movies, Alpha, I would suggest seeing them. I'm pretty sure you probably have.
Oh, I have. Especially Judge Dredd, dude. I'm big on the old style 80s action movies.
Hell yeah. And then Wesley Snipes and Sly Stallone and Demolition Man is just classic. So, But getting back to this movie, I was also explaining to my mom that another way that I look at it is every villain has a story. And it's normally the same story. And Joker encompassed that story. It just added in a lot more human elements to it. But Joker encompassed the life beat down on him, so now he's getting back at life type thing. And Joker encompassed that. Kind of like, to me, like I was explaining to her, and this was the example I used, Dr. Horrible. Which is, once again, one of the most well-written, beautiful movie or shows or skits or whatever they call it that I've ever seen. Neil Patrick Harris is amazing in that movie. Or in that little, whatever it is.
Skit, yeah. I just skit.
Yeah. So, and needless to say, I recommend Joker 100% to anybody that wants to see it. I'm not saying you have to go see it 5-6 times like you did Avengers and the other movies and Batman v Superman and all that, but
what's your 1 out of 10?
What's my 1 out of 10?
What's your 1 to 10? What's your rating?
9.5. Because nothing's perfect. But this is about as close to perfect as you can find.
Not a bad way to put it.
Correction. There's only one movie that's perfect, and that's The Princess Bride.
I'm not even mad. I'm okay with that point.
Yeah. But other than that, nothing else is perfect. 9.5 is the best you'll get out of me. But yeah, I thought it hit on every mark. It was very beautifully written. Joaquin Phoenix did an excellent job. All right. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, Heath Ledger is still one of the best Jokers out there, and like, you still gotta. Cesar Romero was an amazing Joker. Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, all of them brought their own unique flair to the character. You know, Cesar Romero was real over the top, but that's what was necessary for that campy like '60s, Batman film or show. Jack Nicholson brought class to a character that to that point really didn't have class. Like and I like that about Jack Nicholson. He was that classy crazy. Um, and then you had Heath Ledger, who just brought the crazy. Like it was still cold and calculated, but he just brought the crazy.
Like I had said when I was in my review, it's like it's hard to really rate them all because you look at them and they each set a different tone
Yeah,
for the Joker character. Because like, you can't rate them because truly it's like almost every different one is almost a different version of the Joker. It really is. It sets a different tone, and you have to think about it in a different light. You can't really set them all aside each other.
you can use the mini Earth theory.
Exactly.
Yeah, like with the Joker, like you could definitely use the mini Earth theory. And I like that. That was the other thing I meant to touch on, is that this movie to me kind of furthered the Gotham theory on the Joker. That the Joker could be anybody. You know what I'm saying? You have a bad enough day, anybody can be the Joker. And so it kind of spoke to that to me the same way Gotham did. I actually, ironically, saw somebody that was just like reaming on Gotham, was just like, Gotham is not a good show, like it was crappy in this way. I'm like, bro, like I don't understand how you watch Gotham and say it's a crappy show. Like that show was amazing. Only thing I didn't like was how they handled the whole situation with whatchamacallit at the end, Batman, when he became Batman. Like that's the only part of it that I didn't like. Every other part of Gotham was amazing. The way that they split, the way that they
dipping into Gotham, it's like I think when you look at Batman, although Batman himself is a very compelling character that you can do a lot with,
yeah,
I think hands down Batman's biggest strength is his rogues gallery.
Yeah,
because you have a lot of superheroes who have their mainstay villain. Superman has his Lex Luthor, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Very few heroes have a long list of very compelling and very well written villains.
Right.
And that's where Batman has a big upper hand against any other type of superhero having a universe space around him.
Yeah.
Because he has this massive rogues gallery with good stories.
And I mean, they included everybody in Gotham. Solomon Grundy, they included everybody in Gotham. And that's one thing I like.
Exactly.
And I did like the way it's set up that, like, they created this rogue gallery before Batman even existed. So basically it went with the storyline that Batman existed because there were so many villains overriding Gotham. He didn't become Batman because Thomas and Martha Wayne were killed. I'm like, he didn't just.
It was also the face of Gotham and all of the rogues, all the shit that was going on within it, things like that. So, and you see all of that add up to help create the Batman as a whole.
Yeah, right. I just thought.
I think that is my favorite version of Penguin.
Yes, I can agree 100%.
Like, as much as I do love Danny DeVito because it's fucking Danny DeVito, I think exactly fucking Tim Burton looking like a fucking plum. But it's that I forget the actor's name, but his version of Penguin has just such like perfect heel energy. It's like you watch him get away with everything. It's like fuck, like I really hate you, but that just means you're doing your job right.
And I was gonna say, and also he was a Joker-like character in the way that they built him. You see what I'm saying? Like he was a Joker-type character in the sense that almost every like vicious move that Penguin made, if you watch how events unfolded, it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It made sense that he didn't trust nobody because damn near everybody turned on him at some point. Anybody that he had initially trusted eventually turned on him. I think even at one point Riddler turned on him, which I think I've said in earlier episodes. Like that dude, once again I forget the actor's name, but his version of Riddler is one of my favorites. Like Jim Carrey was, he was a little too campy for me. But this dude's character, this dude's version of the Riddler, I liked. Once again, I think this dude did for the Riddler what Jack Nicholson did for the Joker. He brought class to a character that didn't necessarily always have class. And I don't mean intelligence. The Riddler's always been smart, but he brought class to it.
I think about a lot of depth to that character.
Yeah.
Because you look at Riddler, and in any form, he doesn't really get a lot of in-depth attention like that.
Yeah.
I'm looking like all around. I'm talking video games, comics, and of course movies. You don't see Riddler really taken seriously or given a lot of depth like you see in that show. And even he doesn't get a massive focus, but you really see into the mind of the Riddler character. And like it isn't just some egomaniac. It's there's a lot of really, really good in-depth work with the character and how it was built up and how he became that way.
And here's the difference between doing a movie and doing a television show, is that they tried to do that with the Jim Carrey version of the Riddler, but they didn't really have enough screen time to hook you into the character. You know what I'm saying? And this time there was enough screen time over 3, 4, 5 seasons to give you some depth to the character, just like with the Penguin. Like, as much as I like Danny DeVito's Penguin, like you said, there was some depth to this Penguin. You know, and so, exactly. And I think that's partially what made Gotham such a great show to me, just in general. And like I said, the fact that they split the Riddler into being two brothers, or not Riddler, but Joker into being two brothers instead of one dude, you know, and more of an idea than an actual person. Like, because if you, like I tell people, if you go back and you watch Gotham, they never refer to Jerome or Jeremiah as the Joker. They always refer to them as, right. They always refer to them. And actually, I didn't mind, it wasn't my favorite, but I didn't mind their interpretation of Harley Quinn either. It was kind of unique.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I wouldn't outright say it was bad.
Right.
I think it's a different take, and I think it's interesting to do it that way. I'm definitely open to that, because you very rarely see Harley Quinn taken in any type of new direction, so I was more than open to it. But it's definitely an interesting take. It's a very niche performance, but I certainly enjoyed it.
Definitely. All right, so that's Joker. That's our kind of comprehensive reviews. We kind of got sidetracked talking about Gotham there, but who can't get sidetracked talking about such an amazing show? Okay, so just real quick, go Warriors. Come on, pull within 4. Let's go, boys. I'll say Warriors are playing the Clippers right now, so I kind of got the game on the TV. All right, so. Huh?
Clippers on?
Yeah, Warriors versus Clippers on TNT.
Good shit.
So, all right, so I'll start out with Monday's show, Black Lightning, Season 3. Big kind of takeaway of the show was that Jefferson Pierce and his wife got to come home. They got removed from ASA custody, so they're back at the house. Kind of a funny scene towards the end of the episode, they make it home. Everybody hugs, and then the youngest daughter is like, all right, later. And he's like, but we just got home, and then the other daughter's like, well, I kind of got some stuff to do, so I'll check y'all out later too. And she bounces out, and then he's like, well, at least we can spend the night together, to his wife. And she's like, yeah, I'm about to go to bed. And he's like, really? Like, I ain't seen my family in like 6 months, and like nobody trying to kick it. Like, all right. He kind of walks off. But Tobias Well, once again, continues to show why he's easily one of the best villains going today. And the guy who's running the ASA right now, he's a bastard. Basically, he tells Tobias Well is like, where's your little boy? Talking about the little boy, the Truth Boy, right? Well, they didn't killed off the Truth Boy, right? And he's like, well, you ain't won't be
Right.
dealing with him no more. You're going to be dealing with me from now on. And he's like, and you're going to tell me what I want to know. And he's like, where's the suitcase? And Tobias starts fucking with him, right? Like Tobias does. He begins to become a smartass and starts fucking with him. And dude's like, oh, really? Like, basically, he says, basically, in not so many words, he says, you want to fuck with me? All right. I think I owe you some outside time. He throws on some sunglasses and presses a button, and the top and the roof opens up to show some UV lights, and we all know that Tobias Well is an albino. So heavy exposure to UV light and to sun rays can do damage to his skin. And dude looks at him and is like, he's like, yeah, I think you'll do good out here for a couple of hours in the sun. You call me when you want to talk. And just walks away, and I was just like, damn, this dude is more cold than Tobias was.
It's fucking cold, icy.
And that's hard for me to say because Tobias Well ripped somebody's spine out. The kid that's painkiller right now, Tobias Well literally ripped his spine out. So, like, you got to be fucked up to do worse than Tobias Well. And this dude seems like he's,
work.
you know, and this dude seems like he's way worse than Tobias Well. But yeah, we finally got to see Lightning's outfit and see her go ham. She does a job for the ASA in this episode, and then yeah, there's more stuff with Blackbird, aka Thunder, finding the woman that she's in love with and that she's been following for years, trying to track down. She finally finds her, and the girl comes back home and everything. So that was a part of the storyline that they progressed. And overall, like I said, Black Lightning's moving along. I don't expect Black Lightning to be involved in the crisis until the crisis is in full swing. So December, January. So at this point, everything is going to be kind of self-contained within the Black Lightning universe. All right, so Tuesday was The Flash, where they finally reveal who this season's actual big baddie is, and also start lending more towards the crisis. Some of the big things with the crisis is like Flash finally tells Team Flash what Monitor told him about the fact that he has to die in order for everybody else to live. And he says that's what he saw in the future as well. So at this point, Flash is no longer fighting the fact that he's supposed to die for the crisis. So, but Caitlin Snow had a big breakthrough, or Killer Frost had a big breakthrough, because Dibney was kind of digging into her about why she was being so, like, you know, fidgety, Barry, because he's trying to prepare them for when he's gone. He's digging into her, like getting into her skin, and finally she admits to him that basically Killer Frost is afraid to die because she just now, basically that's the whole thing with Caitlin Frost. That's her whole storyline this season is that officially now we're going to see more of Killer Frost than Caitlin Snow. Like even when they're in their downtime, you know, normally it was Killer Frost when they were in fighting, but it was Caitlin Snow when they were doing the downtime and doing the science and all that. Now it's going to be Killer Frost even during the downtime. So she admits that she doesn't want to die yet. She hasn't experienced a lot of things in life. She's been on this planet 30 years and she ain't experienced a lot of things, and she's finding out that in a couple months everybody's supposed to die. And so it was fucking with her head. So, well, I'll say, that was kind of her growth, a part of her growth in the whole thing. And there was a storyline with Ralph Dibney and his mom that was pretty good. That kind of helped add some depth to that character as well. But overall, I'm gigging what they're doing on The Flash as far as like moving us towards crisis. Now, when I say they introduced the big baddie, it's for those of you who were fans of the series Heroes and Heroes Reborn. I'm pretty sure the character's name was Mohinder. But the Indian dude on Heroes, that kind of, the whole story was kind of surrounded around Hayden Panettiere's character and his character.
Yeah.
He plays the big bad villain in this season's Flash.
Okay, that's
He plays a
interesting.
character. He plays a character by the name of Bloodwork. And so,
Unexpected.
huh?
That's unexpected.
Oh yeah. Like I am thoroughly happy with what I'm seeing from this character so far, and how he's developing as a character. Like he's a mad scientist basically, who's a hematologist. If you don't know what that is, that's a scientist that works with blood. So, but yeah, he's effectively going to end up being the big baddie for Flash this season. So I'm loving it. Like I said, I'm loving what they're doing with Flash. It's leading directly into kind of what they're doing with Arrow. And this was explained to me by Saint last night that I didn't really get this. I didn't really catch on to this till he showed it to me. The second episode of Arrow was called Welcome to Hong Kong and featured a trip to Hong Kong. And if you watch season 2 of Arrow, you know that most of season 2 happened in Hong Kong. And they also bring back the character China White. As pretty much every episode is Oliver completing a mission for the Monitor to help with the coming crisis. And kind of the big surprise is that Diggle's wife is working with the Monitor. Like she's helping him out. So yeah, as crisis gets closer, things are getting more and more interesting on Arrow. Here was an interesting point that was kind of my moment of the week to an extent. You know the character, the Japanese character in Suicide Squad? I can't remember the actual character's name. I keep forgetting.
Oh, Gothem.
Yes. She appears on Arrow.
Oh,
It's a
shit.
different actress. It's a different actress, but it's the same character. In this
Okay.
Welcome to Hong Kong episode, she appears on Arrow, and I'm like, because I had to call Saint and ask him. I was like, because I saw her, and I was like, I was like, the mask looks exactly the same. And so I had to call him, and I was like, hey, is that supposed to be the chick from Suicide Squad? Is that supposed to be the same character? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, all right, now I get you. I see you. So she makes an appearance in this episode and actually has a pretty big part in it. So that was pretty interesting. But next up was Supergirl. Damn good episode. Once again, these episodes just keep getting better and better. Damn good episode for Supergirl. It was an episode called Blurred Lines. Once again, they digged a little bit further into John Jones and what was going on with that character and what was going on with his mind and why his brother is after him. He discovers that he's the one that wiped his own mind, and his dad's mind, and removed his brother from the collective mind on Mars because he thought his brother had gone crazy. And so, like, yeah, like they developed his character a little bit more. They developed a little bit more the relationship between Cara Danvers and Lana Luthor. But overall, it was a pretty uneventful episode. Like, there wasn't a lot major that happened. So, matter of fact, I don't even remember Supergirl really fighting anybody. A lot of this episode had more to do with, she fought a girl that I call her Spider Woman. I call her Spider Woman because she basically, like, there was some kind of, basically the way they explained it is they said there was some kind of parasite-like creature that came down from space, from Krypton, right? And initially it had to have a host to survive on Earth. And initially its host was this dude, but they caught the dude and put him away, and the host became this chick who was going around sleeping with dudes and having this little spider pop up out of her body and go inside the dude and kill him, right? But where they got me and why I call her Spider Woman of the DC universe is at a certain point she's fighting Supergirl, and she starts spitting spider webs. Psst, 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 and sticking, and I'm like, it's Spider Woman, it's Spider Gwen. But overall, It was a great episode. Like I said, the fight scenes weren't exactly super memorable. Um, they did a good job of moving along all the storylines that they had going. But it was pretty funny. Um, Batwoman once again furthered the story of Red Alice and Batwoman, as she now knows that Kate Kane is Batwoman. Um, but she wants to, according to her own words, wants to teach Kate Kane that her sister is no longer alive, that Alice is the only one that remains. I guess her sister went crazy. You know, my mother even brought up a point that she would love to see, like, what happened between when Alice dropped off that bridge, when her sister Beth dropped off that bridge, and when she became Alice. Like, I'm like, that would be a good story. I wouldn't mind seeing that myself, ma. And so,
not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, not a bad idea at all. But needless to say, Batwoman, another great episode. Episode 3 was called Down, 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 because they went further down the rabbit hole of the connection between Red Alice and Kate Kane. Other than that, pretty, once again, uneventful episode. But that's my review, kind of the DC shows for this week. We'll be back again next week. They all will be back again next week. None of them are going on break yet. So we'll check it out, and check me out next week when I tell you about those episodes. All right. So one thing I wanted to ask you before we get to Alpha's Editions. Did you get a chance on Monday night or otherwise? Because I actually saw it on the big screen today when we went to go see Joker. The final trailer for Rise of Skywalker.
I did not. I was not able to. But I've heard there's a lot of mixed feelings about it. There's some controversy.
I enjoyed it. I think that it sets up the final chapter of this particular Star Wars story very well. Okay? And I think that it left just enough to the imagination for you to want to go see the movie. I think it did what a trailer's supposed to do.
Okay. I'm interested then. I have a massive connection with Star Wars. I completely forgot to bring this up, but like literally my younger brother is named after a Star Wars character. This runs so deep in my family.
Nice.
So I'm hoping next week I can watch that, pick it apart a little bit, give my opinions on the new trilogy. I'll put it that way, because it's not the prequel, the sequels, so it's something else.
Okay.
All right.
I want to say this one thing about Star Wars before we move on to Alpha's Editions. As long as they don't make it that Rey is somehow like some descendant of Luke Skywalker or of the Skywalker clan, like, let her be her own story. Like, I just don't need her tied. Yeah, anyway. Go on ahead.
My thing with that specifically is, like, the worst move would be to make Rey related to Luke and all that.
Yeah.
But if they absolutely had to rail that in, I personally would like her to be related to the Kenobi family in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. That would be pretty awesome.
Exactly.
If they had to go with some kind of family ties, yeah.
Yeah, if they absolutely had to, I'd like to see that because, Obi-Wan is the shit. Quote me on it.
Oh, Ewan McGregor.
My boy.
Ewan McGregor's brother. It was a thing that I was reading on Comics Call to Action on their Facebook page where it said Ewan McGregor's brother is like in, I forget which profession he's in, but his call sign in his profession is OB2. And I was like, that's kind of awesome. And then when you know what I'm saying, when you put it together with finding out that his brother, that's his brother, it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, your brother's Obi-Wan, you're Obi-2. All right, cool.
I like that.
But what you got for us, brother?
All right. For Alpha's Edition this week, of course, we telegraphed it last week. I went and saw myself Zombieland 2 this Tuesday.
Yeah?
And to pretense it, Zombieland 1 came out in 2009. I was obviously very young at the time, but even at that point, that movie became instantly one of my favorites.
Okay.
I don't even quite know why. It's just fun, really good movie. It's not the best written thing in the world, but it's an entertaining movie through and through, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to say that movie it wasn't a quintessential part of my childhood, but it's definitely always been in my top 15 growing up.
Okay.
And so I was pretty jazzed. I was pretty pumped up to see number 2. And of course, because it's a sequel, I tried my best not to walk into too high of expectations.
Right. Never better than the original. That's rule of thumb.
Exactly. Watch the sequels. Be careful. Watch out for them, because it's either going to be really good or really fucking bad most of the time.
Yeah, no shit.
But I'd say that Zombieland 2 is a very rare case in the way that it's a sequel that manages to be equally as good as the first one.
Nice.
It's not tremendously better. There are a few things that they did better and a few things they did worse. But as a whole, as when setting it alongside the first one, I'd say that it was equally as good and entertaining.
So does
that is a very, very big takeaway.
So does my future wife Rosario Dawson get a lot of screen time? I'm gonna call her that from now on. My future wife. That's my future wife right there. She's super fun.
I'm not even mad. You're right. Okay, I'd say she's one of the most compelling but entertaining characters in the movie.
Nice.
She's given a really, really cool character to work with. If you watch it, I'd say you're gonna fucking love it.
All right.
She has a really, really fun portion of the movie. She doesn't get a massive amount of screen time, but she does play a pretty big part, especially when it comes to the final act of the movie.
All right. Awesome. I'm going to have to check that movie out. Alpha's stamp of approval.
Absolutely. But my biggest takeaway is that although number 1 takes it a little bit slower because it has to introduce everything, in terms of the script, not the story, but the script, everything the characters said, everything they say is substantially better. Like, I watched Zombieland 1 the night before specifically so I could look at it side by side. And in terms of scripting and everything that they say, Zombieland 2 is a tremendous step.
Okay.
It makes Zombieland 1 look like fart jokes and child nonsense compared to the things that they say. There's a lot of really, really funny, you have to actually think about it, sort of jokes in there. And if you haven't seen White Men Can't Jump, fucking please watch it. It's a hilarious movie. So, you know that movie well?
Oh, yes, I know that movie well.
When he talks about becoming the president, he talks about pardoning Wesley Snipes?
Yeah.
First act of the movie, they go into the White House, of course, like they show in the trailer. One of the first things Woody Harrelson does is pardon Wesley Snipes on a piece of paper.
It's what, Wesley Snipes?
He pardons him, like, on a piece of paper. Like as he says he would do. He pardons him. It's like, fuck! And then he jumped out of my chair, because, like, sorry, I don't know about you, that was so fucking way back, and it's one of the funny things ever. Like, seeing that brought up this late into the game is fucking hilarious.
That means somebody thought specifically.
Exactly. Somebody saw Woody and was like, you know what, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Oh. And that man is a genius. Give that man a fucking raise.
Yeah, that's one I gotta go see soon. Maybe for my birthday in a couple of weeks, I'll go see it.
It's really fucking entertaining. I'll respect any movie that makes me hate Emma Stone. Fucking love Emma Stone. They do a good job of making her very, very easy to hate. Very easy to disdain, even if she is one of the key members of the cast. The Twinkie angle is completely dropped. So a little bit angry about that. That's my one gripe. The whole Tallahassee is obsessed with Twinkies, and it's just completely dropped as if it never happened. But as a whole, it's equally as good as the first one. Really, really good jokes. It's a damn good movie. It's worth the money, in my opinion.
Amen. All right.
That's my Alpha's editions. Alpha movie stamp approval. Zombieland 2 is a good ass sequel.
All right. So we're an hour deep, so we're going to go ahead and take that commercial break now. And then we come back and we got
No
a lot
doubt.
more content for y'all, talking some Friday Night SmackDown, some Monday Night Raw, some AEW and NXT, and giving our Crown Jewel predictions, as well as Alpha's Wrestler of the Week. So stay tuned tonight on the Cheap Pop Podcast, right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, and anywhere else that you get your favorite podcast from. Peace.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the amazing nerd show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Haven't you listened to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at the UnspokenSportsPodcast.weebly.com.
And we're back. All right, guys. How you doing? Yeah, laptop's plugged in this week, so there'll be no breaking the episode like it was last week, and we have to come back and all that. Well, this week, man, I'll tell you, Friday Night SmackDown gave us some good stuff, a lot of good stuff. Okay, I don't understand why they would have Roman Reigns go after the Intercontinental title. I don't think they are, but it was a nice little. They did have a good match between him and Nakamura that ended in DQ to start the show because Corbin came in and, well, yeah, did Corbin-like things.
So he did what Corbin does.
Yep, and interfered, and Roman won by DQ. So I assume that means at some point later he'll receive a Intercontinental title match. But it also set up the main event, which was Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns against Corbin and Nakamura, because Daniel Bryan came out and helped out Roman Reigns once Roman was getting beat up 2-on-1 by Corbin and Nakamura. or 3-on-1 with Sami Zayn. Sorry, long day. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting little storyline build there. We'll see where they go with it, because we all know that Eric Bischoff is no longer running SmackDown. Now it's who did they bring back? It's Bruce Pritchard.
Bruce Pritchard,
So
the Red Man.
we should see some good storylines come up here. Let's see. Only part that I didn't like about SmackDown overall, Shorty Gable, Chad Gable, I'm going to call him by his government
Shorty
name,
G.
is now Shorty G.
Stay psych. Please stay psych. Tell me this isn't real.
I'm going to try to keep that same energy, but man, you losing me with this direction.
You're taking arguably one of the pound for pound best performers right now, and you are making him look like a straight up dumbass.
Yep.
It is killing me.
Oh, hurt my feelings.
And somehow he's making it work. Though, I'll give him that. Like, even past the name, he's strapping on that smile and he's taking it to the ring every night.
I was going to say, he's making it work in the same way that Damian Sandow made every gimmick they ever gave him work. By just smiling through it and acting like you're happy to be here. You know? And so when you see somebody who, despite having a horrible gimmick, is giving it their all and is putting their best foot forward, all you can do is support them. Good match, probably one of the top matches of the night. New Day and Heavy Machinery defeated The Revival and Ziggler and Rude.
Anytime I get to see Heavy Machinery work, you know it's a good day.
Oh yeah, we got to see the Worm. Go ahead.
It's constantly entertaining, constantly. Much like Street Profits, it's like even if they're working a small portion of the show or they're doing some very much news, it's very memorable because they get in there and run with it.
And less mentioning the Street Profits, they should be on top of the world because they killed it this week. But we'll get to that when we get to Raw. I'll say Bayley. I don't know how I feel about the events of Miz TV. I truly don't.
Yeah. Much like many things, I'm sort of looking at it like, why?
Yeah.
I hope there's a payoff here because right now I'm a bit unsure, but I'm not going to write it off right away. I'm play the long game.
Yeah. I'm gonna like you said, I'll watch to see what the long burn is, but at this point, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna write this one off like I am the Lana situation.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. Nikki Cross defeated Carmella, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Lacey Evans, and Dana Brooke to become the number one contenders for Bayley's title. So hopefully, I know those two will put on a hell of a match. So it should be fun watching that. But it's an interesting push that they're giving her a push without Alexa Bliss.
I think so. I think these last few months of her working with Bliss were a big trial run to see how she would do. And I think the general consensus is that there's a positive reaction. I think this might be them really banking on her.
Yep. And finally, Drew Gulak, welcome to the SmackDown roster. Braun Strowman beat the snot out that little man. He tried to show him a 300 thing PowerPoint presentation on why he could beat Braun Strowman, and Braun wasn't having none of it. Yeah, I think Drew Gulak's gonna be all right. It just had me dying when he said that. My PowerPoint presentation. Oh, stop, brother. Please. Stop.
Stop. You're already dead.
You're
already dead. Stop.
All right. So also on Friday Night SmackDown, I think it was this week, was announced that Roman Reigns will be or no, it was that last week. That was announced that Roman Reigns is going to be the new captain for Team Hogan, with Seth Rollins having to defend the title in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Roman Reigns is going to be the new captain for the 10-man tag match at Crown Jewel. So they also rounded out Team Flair, which will be adding basically another heel, like he said. It's pretty much good guys versus bad guys. But they added Drew McIntyre. And I think that gives them a pretty stacked team with, McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin, Randy Orton, and I forget who the fifth dude is.
Who they're pushing as their quintessential heels all lined up, basically.
Yeah. So, should make for an interesting match. But McIntyre defeated Ricochet to open up Raw and beat him down pretty good, unfortunately. I hate seeing Ricochet get beat down. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. Aleister Black came out and picked the fight with another random dude. And, of course, he won. Give him some real competition. This guy's been going through this gimmick circle for too long where he comes out and challenges a fight and goes through these nobodies until he gets some real competition. Like, let's just give him some real competition right off the bat.
Because what was that SummerSlam where he had a really, really good match with Cesaro?
Yeah,
it
should have been a series of matches.
In my opinion, it should have been. Because where it stands right now, it's one of my 5 matches of the year. That was such a good ass, fast paced match that they both put on. It's weirding me out because it's like they brought up Aleister Black to the main roster, and they always say that we bring people up and we always have a plan for them. And it seems like the complete opposite with him. Yep. It seems like they're just doing it as they go along. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I hate to be that wrestling mark, but Tommy and Aleister Black, that man can fucking work.
Yeah, he can.
9 times out of 10, you put him in the ring with anybody, you're gonna get a good match. Do not forget that even Velveteen Dream's first feud being with Aleister Black, that ended up being feud of the year because it was just so damn good.
Oh yeah, the Say My Name feud.
Exactly, the Say My Name feud. Half on part because of Aleister Black putting in character work that was somehow on par with the Dream.
Yeah.
He's done a lot. He should be pushed a lot higher. I'm not saying you give him every fucking belt and you put him in the world title scene, but he's definitely worth some TV time and some real, actual matches, not just picking out a dauber's chin every so often.
A nobody. Who the hell's Jim Reynolds? Ain't nobody ever heard Jim Reynolds. Anyway, is he the inventor of Reynolds rap? Like, what's going on here? There we go. All right. So anyway, that was a bad joke. Then in what was one of the worst segments of the year, Rusev was on the King's Court. We don't need to give this man a mic anymore. We need to make him a Heyman guy and let Paul Heyman talk for him. Paul Heyman's just going to talk for everybody, okay? We're just going to listen to Paul Heyman cut promos for everybody. No, because then we get sick and tired. I would be okay with it too. But Rusev was on the King's Court. He gets interrupted by Bobby Lashley and Lana. Worst storyline of the year. And they say a bunch of stupid stuff. Rusev gets mad. They say you can't find us because and she's like, Lana's like, you wouldn't know where this restaurant is anyway because I wanted you to take me here, but you never did, and I don't know why, but my man's gonna take me here. And needless to say, it was just another stupid segment that resulted in another segment stupid where Rusev shows up at the restaurant and tries to beat up Bobby Lashley, but two small ass servers come and a security guard come and escort Rusev out. And yeah,
it's I can say confidently that every time like Lana or Bobby Lashley or Rusev show up on the screen, my whole family lets out a collective sigh like, fuck, like, these next few minutes are going to suck ass.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are they trying to please here? Because I look at my family, and it's like, you have my mom who's this, I'd say a wrestling fan veteran. Her whole life, this has been what she's about. There's me who's a moderately deep wrestling smart.
Yeah.
You have my younger brother and my younger sister who are what they're trying to appeal to with the PG era and all that. And it's like, you're not hitting any mark. Yeah. What is this? And it's killing me because Rusev and Lashley are pretty good workers. You look at Lashley's work in TNA and you see easily one of the top 15 people who's had a long tenure in TNA, no?
Yep.
And you look at Rusev, who's proved time and time again, he'll take what he's been given and work with it.
Yeah, I'll say like
this.
Rusev
Day and the such.
And here's another thing with it. Another thing that makes it extremely hard to watch is that I get this feeling that Rusev didn't want to do this. You know, not like it's literally upsetting him. Like you said, he'll work with whatever he's given. But this just doesn't seem like a storyline that Rusev's like into. You know,
I don't think anybody's jazzed about working that angle.
And so it's just like, and I don't think anybody would be jazzed about working an angle where you have to watch your wife make out with another man. I don't care how secure you are in your marriage. Like, there's nowhere where it would be fine to watch your significant other make out with somebody and not have it hurt. So,
like, it is nothing fucking sacred.
You know? I guess not with Vince McMahon from what I've heard.
Vince McMahon doesn't know what a burrito is, man. No, like, straight up, like, he is quoted on non-known what the fuck a burrito is. I am convinced Vince McMahon is not human.
He's a cyborg.
Like, that man is a Martian in a man's suit running a wrestling company.
No shit. I'll say, but anyway, so moving on, Andrade defeated Sin Cara in what looks like they're trying to build their kind of lucha rankings because they had those two were being watched by a guy who made his mark on Monday Night Raw, debuting Humberto Carrillo. So I think they're building up that, and then you got Rey Mysterio. I think we're going to see some good matches between the four of them in different pairs going forward. But right now, Andrade is continuing his feud, his long-term feud with Sin Cara, and he won a match against him with the help of Selena Vega. She's beautiful. She's beautiful because she's small. I don't know if I'd find her beautiful if she was tall. Like, I think she's beautiful because she's small.
I think part of the appeal is that she's small.
Yeah.
Dude, she won my heart when she walked into fucking Royal Rumble dressed up as Vega from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, fuck you. I love you. Bro, she's married to Aleister Black and they have an Instagram account for their cats.
Oh,
that's the shit.
That's cute.
That's where it's at.
I'll say, all right. So, Viking Raiders took on Hawkins and Ryder, basically as a way to promote the tag team turmoil match that's about to happen at to decide who is the best in the world in the Tag Team World Cup. So, but the Viking Raiders still looking impressive, even against Hawkins and Ryder.
I'm beginning going back up to them. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
The more I see them work, the more I'm actually warming up to the idea of Eric and Ivar, no longer Raymond Rowe and the boy. Warming up slowly.
All right. And then last, they did a segment with Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio, and Cain Velasquez. the plus side of the segment that I liked was the fact that they acknowledged the history between Brock Lesnar and Shelton Benjamin. Like, they've done it before, but never, like, via Shelton Benjamin. It's always been when talking about Brock Lesnar, they just happen to mention, oh, yeah, and by the way, he went to college with Shelton Benjamin. Like, no, y'all, like, they were roommates. Like, Brock and him were tight. Together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he taught Brock
like
wrestling.
They didn't just, like, they did not, like, they didn't just share a class. Like, they were tight. They were close. They lived together.
Yep, they even came into WWE together. It's
Exactly.
just Brock got promoted to the main roster before Shelton did. It took Shelton finding Charlie Haas down at OCW or OVW.
OVW.
Yeah, down at OVW before he finally got the bump up to the main roster as a part of the America's Greatest Tag Team. So. But like, a lot of people forget that him and Brock Lesnar were that tight. But it was a segment basically to put over Cain Velasquez. Benjamin kind of comes.
That's the whole look on everything going on with Cain Velasquez, honestly.
Me
like,
too.
I don't hate the guy, but it's like, it's It's just
There's nothing really
I'm
hot.
hoping he can. If he can impress me in the ring, then fuck it, I'll eat my words. But as of right now, it is very
Yeah, overall, we'll see what he does on next Thursday. I don't expect much out of that match. I'm gonna be honest with you. My hopes aren't too high for it to be a decent match. I'm worried about him taking a bump.
Real low.
Yep. But all right.
It is though. It's like if they do put any belt on Cain Velasquez, that is worst case scenario.
I hope not. I want to say
there's like.
I want to say it pretty much guarantees that Brock's going to keep the belt. The fact that he's facing Cain Velasquez, because I don't think there's any way that they bring in this dude from UFC and instantaneously put the strap on him. Like, people were like, oh, but look at Brock Lesnar. They did that with Brock Lesnar. No. Brock Lesnar was a WWE champ long before he ever fought in the UFC. That's why Brock Lesnar came back and got the belt right away, because Brock's been a champ, a WWE champ before. Cain Velasquez has never held any WWE belt ever, and the first belt he should ever hold should not be. He's not AJ Styles. The first belt he holds should not be the WWE Championship. Sorry.
Exactly.
So, kind of as a side note, but before we get to the big time event that happened on Monday night, Rollins defeated Humberto Carrillo in his debut match, and that was actually a pretty damn good match. Even Saint came to me and was like, huh?
Go.
No, I was like, even Saint came to me and was like, dude, that was a hell of a match. Who's that Carrillo kid? I was like, I've watched him down in NXT a few times, and he's damn good. I'm glad they're giving him sort of a small push.
My whole family, my girlfriend even, who's only like surface level getting into wrestling here, she really loves Humberto Carrillo because when they came around, I think last December when I went, they filmed 205 Live alongside with the Raw that was going on, so we got to see them live. I got to see Oney Lorcan live, so I can fucking die happy now. I mean,
nice.
But back to the point, there was the Fatal 4-Way match that he was in, and Humberto Carrillo was in it. And seeing him work in person is fucking magical. And he's an absolute maniac when it gets into the higher portions of the match. He, at some point, he got launched off the apron, headfirst into the barricade. Wow. And he hit it at a really, really nasty angle. So he went chin first, and you see his head just fucking whips back. It's pure whiplash. And it's like, damn, you fucking maniac. That is respect.
Beasting out.
He can work.
Man. Yes, he can.
He can work.
Yes, he can. He proved
he's
that
one
on
of the
Monday
few
night.
guys that they exactly. He's one of the few guys that they've just pulled out of their ass completely out of nowhere, and he's really made a name for himself.
Amen. All right, now let's get to two guys that turned around and proved to everybody what people who've been watching NXT for the past year and a half, 2 years, have known. The Street Profits are legit. And they proved that this week. They put them in the main event spot where a lot of guys, when they do that, especially the non, independent, the guys that weren't a huge part of the independent scene prior to, coming to WWE, they normally don't put them in that main event slot and let them do work. But they put the Street Profits there, and let me say, the Street Profits did some work. And the fact that it seems like they're aligning the Street Profits with Kevin Owens, I'm all for it. Let's roll.
100%. That man is Mr. Wrestling. Whatever he touches, often than not, that'll become gold.
Yep.
But looking at the Street Profits specifically, I don't think I've seen a tag team come up from NXT that 100% fits the mold of the main roster tag team.
Yeah.
They're very, very character-oriented, very, very explosive, very in-your-face, very WWE style.
Yep.
And they fit in perfectly. And that's what they have above all else. And to complement that, they're damn good in ring. The match that they had with the Undisputed Era at a TakeOver a few months ago, if you haven't seen it, please watch it, because it's a good-ass match, and they work it.
An amazing match.
I will always preach it. Montez Ford gets air. Every time
on that frog splash?
Exactly. Like, every time I watch his frog splash, you see him jumping, and be like, fuck, dude, he gets air off that shit. He flies.
I've only seen two other guys get that type of air, and that's Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Oh, no, Rob Van Dam.
Exactly.
Sorry. Rob Van Dam used to get some fucking air.
Exactly. There's just straight altitude off of Montez Ford, and it works perfectly because he's lanky as shit, and you watch him just dive over the top rope from the standing position like it's nothing. Like, it's easy. He makes it look easy. And even like looking at Angelo Dawkins, he might not have as much character as Montez Ford, and he doesn't have that high flying capability, but there is something to be said about that man's spear.
Oh yeah, 100%.
As a whole, the Street Profits fit in perfectly, and I think they have a really bright future. I think they could have spent a little bit more time in NXT, just to work just a tiny bit more on in-ring capability, because there's definitely an imbalance when it comes to character work, but that's as close as you're going to get to them being evened out.
Yep. Amen to that. All right, so that closes out our SmackDown and Raw coverage. AEW.
Now we get to the good shit, boys.
Yeah, was damn good this week. I kind of watched it. I'll be honest with you. I watched it, but I was kind of busy doing other things. I had homework and stuff like that. This is my the final week of my term, so I kind of have homework and final stuff that I'm doing. And I was just like, it was just such wow. Like I say, in ring. AEW was doing it damn near as good, if not better, than WWE. It's pretty much what I expected. In-ring work, they're awesome. Storyline-wise, they're there, but they got some work to do. But they're moving in the right direction by far. But as for in-ring work, I only found issue with one match. And I still considered it one of the better matches of the night. And that was Lucha Bros versus what Alpha affectionately calls Street Profits 2. Private Party.
I like them.
Yeah, no, I like them too. For a trip to the finals of the Tag Team Championship tourney for AEW. And let me just tell you, like I said, it was match of the night material. By far. There were just a couple of spots where some people messed up, or it would have been a better spot had they been able to, like, especially with Private Party. There were certain segments where it would have been a better segment had they been able to pull off the sequence of moves that they pulled off a little bit quicker. You see what I'm saying? Like, there was a little bit too much. They did a little too slow, at least for my personal taste.
I know what you mean. There's a lot of times because, you see, especially between Pentagon and Phoenix, they work very fast-paced matches.
Right.
So when it starts to slow down, you can really notice it. You can really pick it out.
And so that it was something that what's up?
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I said it was something that just caught my eye, but I liked the match as a whole, and I was kind of unhappy that the Lucha Brothers won. Like I kind of like Street Profits too. I'm gonna keep calling that. Why?
No, yeah, it's fixed. It's Street Profits too now.
Yeah, just like your boy Cole used to always call Velveteen Dream VD. He wasn't a big fan of Velveteen Dream, but he's called it VD. Yeah. Well, I'll say, but anyway, so, but yeah, so like I was kind of sad that the Lucha Bros won, but overall it was a great match.
I fucking adore the Lucha Bros.
And
I'm sorry, but every time I watch them market, it is magical. I love them.
Yes. But I was also exposed to something that I'm still processing, and that was Dark Order. I'm still processing what I saw there. Like, don't get me wrong, in-ring work, amazing workers. Their match with SoCal Uncensored, amazing. The gimmick itself is what's still processing.
If you don't remember, they were actually a different tag team a little bit ago.
All right, who were they a little bit ago?
If you don't know, they were called the Super Smash Bros. In reference to the game.
Oh,
I believe.
I heard of them. I've never seen them work.
No, yeah, that was them. I believe they changed the gimmick. You know, they used to be a video game oriented thing. Super Smash Bros. A lot of video game references, things and the such. And it sticks with their new one. If you know what their tag team finisher is currently called as the Dark Order, it's called the Fatality.
Yeah.
They're in reference to Mortal Kombat, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I saw them and I was like, wait, I've seen these before. Hold up. Yeah, they're a very interesting case. I feel the same way. I've never been a massive fan of them. I've always just been on the border. They've just been good workers, but nothing too much more for me.
And that's exactly what they were in this tournament. Like, this was the first time anybody had witnessed them in the tournament because they, for some random reason, they got a bye. And so, but SCU with Kazarian and Scorpio Sky got the win. So we will see on November 9th, we will see SoCal Uncensored and the Lucha Brothers go head to head for the inaugural AEW Tag Team Championship.
I don't know about you, but I'm hyped for that fucking match.
I will be tuning in. That wrestling site that I emailed to you, I will be using that to watch whatchamacallit. Now the other
that match.
Oh yeah. The other part of AEW Dynamite that I liked was the segment with Cody and Jericho. First and foremost, because of the dig that Cody decided to try to take. It really wasn't a dig, but it was kind of a dig that Cody tried to take at WWE during the segment. But just to set it up for y'all, Cody's in ring and supposed to be doing this interview, making some announcement, right? And Jericho's up in the skybox blowing air horns during the interview, and just he grabs a mic and just goes, "Cody, shut up." Like, Jericho's such a great heel. Like, I love him when he's the bad guy. He's just so hilarious. And I'll tell you even more why in a little bit. But he's going at it, and so Cody turns around and grabs and looks at the mic and goes, "Jericho, we're not at the this isn't the old company that we used to work at. There's no invisible wall here. I can come up there and come kick your ass right now if you want." And I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. Like, but that was a little dig, supposed to be a little dig at WWE. You know, how they'll have somebody placed in the crowd and it's like there's an invisible wall there that the person in the ring can't just go fight them. But it made for a great segment because, first and foremost, Cody goes to go up there. Jericho starts talking shit to him. You're going to stay there. You're not going to do anything. You're going to take it and you're going to like it. It's 4-on-1, baby. There's nothing you can do but like it. But take it and like it. And so, of course, Dustin comes out. A.K.A. Gold Dust, for those of you who don't know. Comes out. And you're like, oh, it's two on 4 now. And then and then MJF comes out, and Jericho's like, oh, you guys are still down 1, and who's afraid of somebody that wears a scarf anyway? And once again, for those of you who don't remember, Jericho wore a scarf for a good portion of his WWE run. And lots of people made comments about the stupid scarf. But anyway, but Jericho says that. And then what was my favorite moment of AEW for this week? They're both MJF and Goldust are looking at the ramp, and all of a sudden they're like, Jericho's talking shit. He's like, "There's 3 out of 4, 3 on 4. Come on up, come get your butt." Blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden you hear, "It's me, it's DDP," and I was like, "No, these niggas didn't."
Oh shit.
They didn't go out and get DDP, and out comes my man with the bang, and I was just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be tuning in for the next few weeks at minimum. If not, just keep tuning in, because this is just good. And they go up, and here's where Jericho, once again, is that hilarious heel. Jericho's sitting there, and Jericho's like, you guys aren't going to come up here. You guys don't come up here. And as they're jumping the railing, all 4 of them, and they're walking up the stairs, Jericho's like, this is your last chance. This is your last chance not to come up here and get your butt whipped. I'm like, Jericho, you're so awesome. You're just so flipping awesome. Needless to say,
Jericho is as good as it fucking gets.
Yes. Exactly, 100%. Like, just the man plays the heel so damn well. But he is. It turned out to be a great segment where they ended up fighting into the mezzanine, and then security, for some odd reason, because Jericho has a ticket, didn't throw him out, but threw out Cody and all them, which baffles me, because if I remember correctly, like, if you fight at an event, you get thrown out regardless of whether or not you got a ticket, but especially if you fight one of the wrestlers.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah.
You're not void of crime because you bought your ticket.
You know, we'll say, or like one of my favorite, I don't know if you remember, there was a commercial that came out a long time ago. I forget what thing it was for, but it was a lady, and it was like 3 old ladies, and they were sitting there chilling, and the lady's talking to the other ladies, and she's like, this is my Facebook wall. And it's like her wall at her house that has a bunch of pictures on it. And she's like, see, you can like my pictures here. And another old lady walks in from the other side, and she looks at her and she goes, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And I'm just like, that was kind of how I felt during that segment when I was watching. I'm like, wait, no, that's not how
it goes.
No, okay, but okay. But yeah, those are the 3 things that really, for me, made AEW stand out this week and made it a really good show. Was there anything for you that made it stand out?
I was definitely going to say the tag match. For me, it was the tag match. I always love seeing Pentagon and Phoenix work.
Yeah.
The Street Profits 2 are definitely growing on me. I wasn't familiar with them pre-AEW, but watching them work in ring and watching them do what they do is always entertaining.
Yep.
That shooting star press still fucking impresses me at this point. All types of hair.
I just think that a lot of their moves would have been a lot more impressive had they been able to do them full speed.
Of course.
You know? Instead of slowing them down to try to make sure that they were doing them right, if they were able to just flow and do them full speed, I think they would have been much more impressive. But overall, like you said, enjoyed the match a lot. Now, the only thing I've heard, unfortunately, I have not had a chance to watch NXT, but the only thing I've heard out of NXT is that I guess there was a Finn Balor heel turn this week. So did you get a chance to watch NXT?
I have not. The boy is late on his network payments due to finding his happy ass a job. But I did, however, see that clip. And let me tell you, above all else, Finn Balor pulled out the nastiest looking fucking Pele kick.
Nice.
Like, Finn Balor is known for the way he specifically rolls himself when he does his Pele kick. And if you remember, a few years back, he did it to Jason Jordan, and Jason Jordan took a picture after, and he had fucking cauliflower ear. Lo and behold, entire right side of his head was all puffed up red and looked like he got hit with a fucking baseball bat. Yeah, no. Finn Balor and DIY are standing together face to face against Undisputed Era. Finn Balor just jumps up and whacks Johnny right in the side of the head with the gnarliest looking Pele kick.
Damn. So is he joining Undisputed Era? Or did he just have a heel turn?
I just saw the clip, and I don't think he's joining. If he does, I'm all for it. But I think he pulls his heel turn.
Nice.
But yeah, that I haven't been able to watch NXT. I'll probably catch up on both episodes so I can report them both next week while I'm at it. But
all right, for sure.
That alone has piqued my interest.
A big time.
Because everybody who has seen any bit of Prince Devitt, aka pre-Finn Balor, knows that Prince Devitt was a top-tier heel. back in New Japan when he had the light-up sweater and he was the real Rogan Hora, as he said. That was some good-ass heel work.
I can't wait to see what they do with him. So, I have no frame of reference. Finn Balor has always been a face almost the entire time that I've witnessed him wrestle, so this will be a nice turn for him. Like, of course, I've seen him utilize the Demon at times, but as far as who he has been, he's been a face most of the time. You had a little story that you were telling me about that's hot topic that might be happening or is supposed to be happening with New Japan. What was that?
Of course, New Japan. Easily the biggest wrestling promotion in Japan. It's some breaking news this week, and that there's going to be a U.S. branch now. Not like their dojo that they have in L.A. where Tetsuya Shibata works. I'm talking a full-on New Japan USA promotion. And for me, this wasn't a good or a bad move. I'm interested. It is a weird move nonetheless. But for me, above all else, this said to me that New Japan is breaking their ties with Ring of Honor. Because everybody knows that New Japan and Ring of Honor, they have a very close relationship, They throw guys back and forth sometimes. You'll see Ring of Honor guys pop up in New Japan's G1 and their matches. You'll see New Japan guys show up in Ring of Honor sometimes. And, of course, you'll have the yearly War of the Worlds tournament where they'll take each of their guys and pit them together because it's just fucking dope to see. This, to me, read more as they're going to break up with Ring of Honor and plant their own guys in their USA promotion. And I think not only that, to do that, to make their own money that way and break that relationship with them, but also because if you remember this year, over the past year, a lot of people have had a lot of visa issues with working in the U.S. We ended up having John Moxley, who was the United States champion at the time, unable to be working and defending the belt in the United States. So I don't know if this could be a business take to make sure that one way or another the guys will be working in the U.S. so you don't see that issue again, or if it's to focus solely on making their money and capitalizing on the Western market that they're further pushing into in the past year or so. Oof. You good? Oh, your mic might have fucked up.
Yeah,
I can hear you now.
You can hear me now? Sorry. So, yeah, New Japan, could you not hear me before?
No, I didn't hear you before that point, before you said hello.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so, yeah. So, New Japan is going to be opening up a nice little, Western branch, and that makes sense to me. Come on over here. I'm pretty sure WWE's got some kind of presence over in Japan, so bring your stuff over here. It only benefits wrestling fans.
Very true. One of my biggest, I'd say my only big issue with New Japan that as a someone living in the U.S., you know, a Western fan of New Japan, the only issue that New Japan really has is their accessibility to Western markets.
Yeah.
You know, their market, their system, their subscription system is very catered to the Japanese market, which is completely understandable, but it makes it a lot harder as a Western fan to access any of their content.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this will definitely push a lot more towards making that easier and more accessible. And I am only happy for that, because if anything needs to be shown to American fans, it is some goddamn Japanese wrestling.
Amen to that, sir. All right, so before we wrap it up with your wrestler of the week, let's get to these Crown Jewel predictions. All right, let's start with the Hogan versus Flair match. I'm going to say, because it's a classic good guy versus bad guy, it's going to be a Team Hogan win somehow, especially considering like the face of the franchise, Roman Reigns, is on Hogan's team now. So
I agree. I think if this were just if this were like at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and Mania, I'd say that 8 out of 10 times we'd be saying the heel team win here. But because this is a very one-off sort of show, sort of feel to it, you know, almost like the In Other World sort of thing, like this, none of this would be canon if it wasn't for big Saudi blood money.
Yeah.
You know, if this were any other time, it would be different, but because you're right, you know, this being built up as a very classic, very one-off match, I can only see Team Hogan walking away with Roman being Roman.
Right. All right, so the boxer versus the wrestler hasn't happened much. I don't think any current heavyweight champion has ever stepped in the ring with a wrestler for an actual match. But we have Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury. Who you got?
I really, really hope they don't let Tyson Fury win, but I recognize the fact that there's a real legitimate chance that he will. I'm gonna take the Hail Mary maneuver and just go with Braun.
Uh-huh.
But I have a deep sinking feeling that Tyson might actually walk away with this.
Wow. Newsflash for anybody that wants to know. Evidently FS1 replays SmackDown on Thursday nights.
Okay.
So if anybody misses Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, you can always check out the replay on FS1. I don't know if they're doing that just specifically for this week, because I know this week SmackDown's supposed to be on FS1 instead of Fox because of the World Series. So I don't know if they're doing that just because of this week or if this is a weekly thing, but that's interesting. All right, so who did you pick, bro? I'm sorry. I got distracted when I saw SmackDown.
I'm going to go
I was like, what? You were going Braun?
I'm going Braun.
Same here. Like, it just doesn't make sense to have Tyson Fury win this match. It's on the same note as to me as the Cain Velasquez Brock Lesnar match. It just doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense to have Tyson Fury win that match.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, I'm going to go on ahead and say, yeah, Lesnar retains, because that's the next match that's up.
Same here. I don't think they would take that big of a risk with Cain Velasquez.
Yeah.
I know that, you know, there is a chance that they would, because WWE's wonderful, wonderful booking.
Yeah.
But I think with the current state of Cain Velasquez's reputation backstage, I don't think they would take that gamble and put the belt on him.
Yeah. All right. So next up is the Indian sensation, the winner of the biggest battle royal, Mansoor, taking on Cesaro. I would say I'm going to take. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say too. If it wasn't in India,
Yeah.
I would probably pick Cesaro to win. But since this kid already won the biggest Royal Rumble in India, I think that he's going to go ahead and win this one too.
Yeah, like if they're willing to let that man win that, you best believe they're going to let him go over Cesaro, who they buried to the fucking ground.
Yeah, very much so. All right,
Yeah.
so next
I mean, he's
up,
not bad though. I mean, he has that cool little flip kick move he does, but there's no doubt he's taking the win home.
Yeah, he's just yeah. There's no reason not to have him win this match. Like, he's basically
It's the
there to help.
hometown kid.
Yeah. So next up, we have a 9-team tag team turmoil match for the World Cup, featuring New Day, Viking Raiders, Heavy Machinery. Who else? Who's LHP? Oh, Lucha House Party.
I would say that's the boys.
Yeah. Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, The Revival, the Raw Tag Team Champions, the OC, Gallows and Anderson, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and the B Team. So who do you think is coming out as the World Cup champions?
I think among the three people who are most likely to win, I'd say it's between New Day, Viking Raiders, and the Revival. But I think if we're talking the most likely, absolutely, I'd say New Day. Because
wow, read my mind. I was just going to say the same thing.
They put a lot of stock into New Day these last few years, putting them on a massive pedestal, giving them the longest tag team reign of all time at this point.
Letting Kofi hold the
I know
WWE
damn well,
title.
Putting the world title on Kofi. I think that with how they've constantly built New Day up as the quintessential tag team currently, I think they're gonna put it on them. And plus, again, with the one-off show idea of this, New Day is hands down the most popular out of all those teams.
Yeah.
New Day sells a motherfucking buttload worth of merch monthly. I think they're gonna cash in on that.
All right, and finally, this will be the main event, but this isn't the last match that I'm going to bring up to you. This is a Falls Count Anywhere WWE Universal Championship match between Rollins and Bray Wyatt, effectively the reason why Rollins is not in the Hogan versus Flair match. I'm saying Rollins retains simply because of this. They're not going to put the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship on the same brand. And Wyatt SmackDown, Rollins is Raw. They would throw me for a curve.
It only makes sense that way.
Yeah.
But if they did, though, that would be one hell of a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give them that. But I don't think that's what they're going to do.
Me neither. So.
Because, it's very clear that with that wonderful finish that we saw here, that they're trying to build them up to be strong, but also to build the Fiend up as the ultimate threat.
Right.
And so it was building up, I think, for a massive defeat here to make Rollins look like a valiant hero.
All right. So, here's the two surprise matches that I never... Evidently, we're going to have a 20-man battle royal to decide who's the number one contender for the U.S. title. And then immediately after that, we're going to have a U.S. title match with AJ Styles. So, I'm not going to have us predict those matches, only because of the fact that it's just like,
There's no way to even... Who's in it,
Yeah, so we'll just acknowledge that those matches are happening, and we'll cover them on the next show, but we won't necessarily predict them. Sad thing about it is we're gonna have your streak is gonna continue for sure, because we pretty much picked every match the same in this one. So win or lose, we're gonna end up with the same record on this one. So all right, so give us your
motherfucking cheated.
We'll say give us your wrestler of the week, sir.
I always have it.
Yep.
My people, have you ever seen a man roll someone up into a pin almost purely using their legs while simultaneously flipping off an entire fucking crowd worth of people?
No, I have not.
If you haven't, then I got a motherfucking wrestler for you this week. If you're unfamiliar with Zack Sabre Jr., then do yourself a favor and check him out.
All right.
Because I look back, and I don't know about you, but I'm a huge fan of technical wrestling.
Yeah.
That shit is fascinating. It is real fun to watch. And I think every generation has one person who may not be the best character, but is hands down the generation-defining technical wrestler, the wizard of that era.
Right, like Chris
I'd say for me, exactly, like for me, I look back into the 90s, and for me, that's Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
In the mid 2000s, I'd say we had Bryan Danielson and the American Dragon.
Yeah.
I think for my era here, I think for the 2010s, I think we have Zack Sabre Jr.
That's some big shoes to fill there, brother.
Exactly, that is some big shoes, and I'd say he fits them goddamn well. He is a wizard. I cannot overstate this enough. He makes it look fucking simple. He is a god when it comes to rolling people up, body manipulation, submissions. I've never seen a man put an armbar on someone that looks as painful as it does when Zack Sabre Jr. does it. Exactly.
Nice. All right,
and he's just funny as shit. and he's been around for a real long time. He has a really long list of accolades. I'm talking belts from DDT, from Defiant, from Evolve, from IPW to Rev Pro to PWG to New Japan. A lot of people are really familiar with him because of his run in New Japan now, where he's won the best of the Super Juniors, I believe. He's had a lot of extensive runs and matches with pretty high-class people. He's joined Suzuki-gun. I fucking love him. He's an incredible wrestler, and he's just the shit. He actually had a one-off appearance in WWE, too.
Really?
In the Cruiserweight Classic in 2016. Nice. He was one of the free agents that was in the match.
Sounded familiar. Okay.
Exactly.
So I have seen him as a wrestler.
Exactly. He's a real scrawny, really lanky British guy. He's a rotten bastard, but damn can he work.
Right on.
He made it to the semifinals. Yeah, I hope so, because he can fucking work. So this week, my wrestler of the week, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, is Zack Sabre Jr., technical wizard. If we're talking notable matches, he had a really good match with Kyle O'Reilly a long while back in PWG. He had a really good series of matches with Marty Scurll.
Okay.
I'd say my single favorite match from him, Hiroshi Tanahashi, his debut match. He can work.
A debut match for New Japan or for ROH? Or?
Oh, New Japan, of course.
New Japan, all right. So there we have it, guys. So tune in next week when I'll have another, and we'll be reviewing Crown Jewel. I keep wanting to call it Hell in a Cell for some odd reason. I'll be covering the DC TV shows, and Alpha will be giving us his full review of. Wait a minute, did we say you were going to go see a movie, or was I supposed to go see a movie? One of us will go see a movie, and we'll talk about it next week.
Of course. We always do. We live in the theaters.
For sure. All right, well, I go to a movie every week with my daughter or with my mom, so, I'm always in the theaters. So, all right, y'all, it's been great. It's been almost 2 hours. Thank y'all for listening. The people of the podcast world, keep listening because we got many good things coming. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.